You're listening to tvosj.org, the voice of San Joaquin and Stockton. This is the Artist Hour. My name is Alejo Izaguirre, and today we have Vincent Soto, and he's all right. That was Tangent by Vincent Soto. He's our guest tonight. Welcome to the Artist Hour.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No problem. How are you, Vincent?
I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty well right now. How are you, Alejo?
I'm good. So, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Tell us what you do, your claim to fame, as I've heard.
Coming to fame. It's a compliment, so I'll take thank you for that. Well, like I said, I'm Vincent Soto. I've been primarily a musician. Guitar has been my main instrument for the last 14 years. I'm approaching 25 now, so I can say that I've been playing guitar for more than half of my life.
That's what's up.
I studied formally at California Institute of the Arts with a brilliant instructor, and all before that I was self-taught, and so it was really nice having all of those doors open for me in the sense of tutelage and just being open to the possibilities of what you can do on the guitar.
Right.
And, primarily, I've been just focusing on the band, or Grade Blue.
Okay.
That's been my main thing that I've just been focusing on recently, and then I do my solo stuff on the side.
Cool. So let's go ahead and start with your solo stuff.
Yeah.
You've been, like you said, you've been playing guitar for about 14 years. And is there any other instruments that you play or would like to play or have been tried to play?
I can dabble into piano.
Okay.
And very, very basic drumming.
Okay.
But other than that,
I can't do drums. I can't get
the coordination
yeah,
is just,
I can't
it's
do
a
it.
trip.
I can play percussion, but I can't play drums.
Yeah. Other instruments, I did marimba.
Nice.
When I was in band, I was pit captain at Bear Creek for my senior year.
Nice.
What other instruments? I guess those would just be like the primary ones.
So as far as the keyboard goes, I wanted to ask you, because I listened to your track. What was it called?
The Swimmer?
Yeah, The Swimmer. That one came out on May 5th.
This
year?
Yeah, that track is actually a really old track. Or not really old, but it's definitely older.
Okay.
That was actually recorded during my stay at Cal Arts, my first year, in 2013.
All right.
And so, yeah, my sweet mate Dylan, we just became friends, and then I asked if I can record a guitar thing, and that's actually one of the songs that I recorded that's on the album. It's called Rocks in Hard Places. I recorded that in Dylan's room.
Okay.
And then
was he studying recording arts or something along those lines, or
at the time it was mainly just guitar performance.
Okay.
I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go with music. I just wanted to go in for guitar.
Okay.
And do what I could with that. But yeah, going back to with Dylan, we became friends. Then we just ended up producing a song together. So it was me on keyboard, Michael Moshman on bass, and then Dylan produced and he sung the vocals over it.
So you're playing the keyboards on that track?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's some really good jazz fit keyboard,
Thank you.
So I was like, is that a sample? Is that him playing?
No,
So
that was me playing.
Kudos to you, because
It
sounds really nice. Do you also do photography?
Yeah, I just always thought the idea of painting with light was just really interesting, and it was just something that I wanted to get into in the first place.
Right.
And so I bit the bullet and bought my first camera, and I just couldn't stop putting it down. I was always just in my room just practicing shots.
Okay.
Just getting practice that way, just shooting the most mundane objects around my room at different exposures or different ISOs and whatnot. So that's how I learned initially, and then I wanted to step up, and I ended up getting another camera and a few more lenses.
That's cool. Do you shoot professionally or?
I wouldn't say professionally, but I have been paid for it.
Okay.
For the one time.
So you have professionally shot before.
Yeah. So I guess so.
That's cool. But going back to the swimmer, what is the spoken word at the beginning and at the end of that?
It was mainly that I just completely left that up to Dylan, and so that beginning is just an interview. I guess he found some samples of an interviewer, and then he answered the questions himself. So
so that's Dylan.
Yeah, so that's Dylan
Dylan's
speaking in the beginning and towards the end, like the second half of the interview, and then in the middle, the chorus section, that's his.
That's really
his
cool
voice.
because it's it really forces you to pay attention to the track.
Yeah.
It's low enough to where it's like, well, what are they saying? But once you're listening to it, you can really tell what they're saying. It's really cool. That jazzy almost, because there's the drums that kick in after somewhere in the middle. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay.
Well, not necessarily in the middle. I think it's just because the interview is like, it's a pretty long interview.
Okay.
It's like maybe like 1 minute and 10 seconds long or something like that. So when the drums kick in, that's like there's still another like maybe 5 minutes or 4 minutes left of that track.
Oh.
So.
Huh. I thought I listened to it. It's on Bandcamp, correct?
Yeah, it's on Bandcamp.
Okay. But yeah, that's when I got a sense. I was like, oh, this is almost like hip hopish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It gave me like, I don't know if you ever heard of Greaves or Spose.
No, those aren't coming to mind.
Certain rappers.
Okay.
But that's especially Greaves. He's from I believe he's on Rhymesayers. But he always uses like blues and jazz for his stuff. It just reminded me of that. Now you also have would you say it's an EP or an LP?
It's so weird categorizing like just those terms now,
right.
Just because I feel like they're so synonymous with one another. People
right.
will call EPs albums and vice versa. So, I mean, I guess a typical EP, I guess, would be up to, maybe 5-6 tracks
right.
or something like that. So I guess I would consider it an album just because there are 10 tracks on there.
All right, cool. And that's called Rest. It's also on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Can people also get The Swimmer on other platforms?
I haven't put it out through other platforms yet.
Okay.
So it still needs to go out through DistroKid and all of that.
Okay. But all the other stuff is on
yeah, it's on all the
other
platforms: Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, Bandcamp, iTunes.
Cool. So you mentioned you studied before, and you said you studied classical guitar?
Yeah, I studied classical guitar for a couple of years.
Okay.
When I was in school down south at California Institute of the Arts.
Cool.
I studied with a brilliant guitar player. He's he's a complete savage on the guitar.
Do you want to give him a shout out?
Yeah, his name is Miroslav Tadic.
Nice.
And he was born in Yugoslavia when Yugoslavia was still Yugoslavia.
Okay.
And, he does a lot of like Macedonian folk music and Balkan music, a lot of odd meter music.
Balkan music's tight.
Yeah, but he also can, he can delve into flamenco, and he can also play. He can give blues a really good like twist. He's just an all around. He's just an amazing player, and he's a really good musician.
That's awesome. The reason I was asking about your past, I guess, classical guitar training is because I was really interested in how you are, for the most part, or I guess without trying to be speaking absolutes, instrumental track, right? I mean, your music doesn't have lyrics.
Yeah, no, it's all instrumental.
So, what is your composition process like?
Oh, the process? I would say it's very much as if you're going to start writing a book or like, an essay.
I mean, what I meant was like, for example, like in Rocks and Hard Places or But to Bloom. I remember thinking like, wow, these are really interesting. Like how does he?
How did it come about?
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking.
Oh no, not at all. Rocks and Hard Places. I feel like it's I guess I'm gonna go back to that writing a book statement in the sense of like everything just starts off with an idea or a little motif, and then you keep on repeating that little idea that you have and you expand on it. That's going to be your phrase. You expand on your phrase, it's your sentence, and then you have a paragraph before you have a full-fledged piece or a chapter, and you have a book afterwards.
That's very classical way of looking at it.
Yeah, and so I feel like just my composition process is like, I like these notes.
Right.
I like, this open tuning that I'm using per se. And then it just kind of takes off from there. Sometimes I don't remember when exactly I started a particular piece or something like that. The idea just keeps on building and building until it just becomes something that I would consider finished.
That's really, really cool. I noticed that there's tracks that are longer and shorter, noticeably longer and shorter. Yeah. Is there do you make the decision to cut this idea at, whatever length, or to develop it further? Does that just kind of happen naturally?
I guess it just kind of happens naturally. Sometimes, you don't need to really overstate the same thing.
Right.
You can just state it once and make sure you state it really well.
Right.
And, that alone can, stick with whoever's listening in. So like something like Tangent, that's like, it's a piece that's like maybe 57 seconds long or so. It's less than a minute, but I feel like I wanted to say, quote unquote, what I wanted to say in those 57 seconds.
That's cool. Is there a reason for the track order? Because I noticed that the shorter tracks, I mean, there's one track that I believe is a minute and a half that's in the middle. Was that?
And then it just progressively gets like longer and
right.
I guess the concept behind that album was, if you also if you listen to it and you pay attention to the tunings, it progressively gets lower and lower and lower in pitch. So those pieces were, it was they were written within like a 4-year time frame. But it's definitely a manifestation of what I was going through at certain parts of my life. Like some pieces are like way more, I guess, sad sounding per se than compared to like A Bud to Bloom, which I wrote for my nephew. I held him the second day he was born, and I just really wanted to write something.
That's cool.
And then the last track, Rumination, that actually took me about 9 months to finish, and it's in a much lower register. That piece was inspired from just a lot of stuff that was just going on from 2015 and 2016, and so it all
personally or in the
personally,
world?
Personally. Okay. And it all it just manifested into a piece to, I guess, express myself in that way.
That's cool. So that was sorry, I was about to read you a question I had already
asked worries.
You about. You recorded your solo EP at the Press Studio?
Yeah, with Matt over at the Press.
Cool. So, Rest, do you want to talk a little bit about that as a whole? For example, I was talking to you about it earlier. How do you feel about, for example, if somebody were to fall asleep to it, because it's a very calm, soothing sound that you're producing?
In all honesty, like, I take that as a compliment.
Right.
If I'm, if listening to that music is able to put you in a vulnerable state, like being asleep, and anything can happen when you're asleep, then I feel like I did my job per se, because you're now in a, you're in a tranquil state.
Right.
And so I definitely take that as a compliment. My friend Alan, he actually told me that he actually falls asleep listening to my album at times. And that's cool. That's just a big compliment to me. So
do you look for the effect of I guess getting a reaction out of people's at a deeper level? I mean,
not necessarily. I just feel like, I guess, the style that I play is just sort of calming and tranquil, maybe a little somber, at times, and that's just how the music is, and then however they react is how they react to it.
That's cool. You're going to release this in a physical form. How's that going? How do you?
So far, I just need to get one last track mixed. It's actually the guitar part's actually a piece from that I use for Grade Blue in that piece is called Subjective Perspective.
Okay.
I wrote the guitar part first and then transferred it over to the band. Okay. But I also just see it as a standalone guitar part because I did write it on the classical guitar first.
Okay.
And so I recorded an acoustic version of that, and then I also have another version of A Bud to Bloom, which I originally wrote it as a duet. Okay. So it's me playing both parts, and those are just going to be bonus tracks for the physical copies, and I just still need to get those mixed.
Is that a guitar duet?
Yeah, it's a guitar duet.
Cool. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you something I forgot. So let's just move on. Grade Blue. Do you wanna tell us a little bit about them? Because I've heard them a while back, and I haven't heard them again for a while. And I know you guys have been playing a lot of shows. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you guys started?
Yeah. So first off, Mitchell and Donald, if you're listening to this, I love you both. Y'all are awesome. Love my bandmates. Our first day of rehearsal where it was a full band was December 19th of 2017. So that was originally me, Mitchell, and then another bassist, Flav. And so I met Mitchell at a show in Davis at this spot called the Morgue.
Nice.
And actually, no, I think I actually met him I met him in Stockton at El Dorado. They were playing a show at the Baptist Church off of El Dorado.
Okay.
And so that's how I met Mitch. And then I was still looking for a bass. I met Flav over at the Morgue. There we go. And so I showed him this piece, and he said, I'm already hearing melodies in my head, so that's already a really good sign. And so we linked up, and that's how the first lineup of Grade Blue happened, and we just started, practicing a lot and rehearsing a lot. Sometimes we'd have like 4 to 8 hour rehearsal days, like in the garage, so it's hot and when it's summertime, or like earlier in spring and whatnot, just to make sure everyone is up to speed on the pieces, and
right.
they have efficiency playing them, and it's been a fun experience so far.
Are all of you musically educated to a certain extent? And I mean that without trying to sound pompous or you know what I mean, condescending to people who don't actually study music or go into music academia.
Yeah.
But are all of you guys classically trained, as they say?
Mitch isn't. He's not classically trained.
Okay.
Flav, I feel like he just likes to learn just random things, and so I think music theory is definitely just one of those things that he sort of started to delve into a little bit.
Right.
But as far as like a formal education
at an institution or whatever,
no, it would just be me.
That's cool. That's awesome. I mean, I went most of my life without having a music education, and then once I did, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like it kicked the doors wide open. But there's also so many musicians that without even being able to read notes, like just write ridiculously good stuff.
Yeah, like you don't need. I personally don't think you need music theory.
No.
It's just a really good tool to have, and so you can use whatever you learned in music theory, and you can kind of understand what it is that you're actually doing.
I think it helps for like compositional blocks.
Yeah.
For example, where it's like, okay, well, I wanna take this somewhere, but I don't know where.
Mm-hmm.
And classically there's so many options, so you can take this chord to that chord.
Mm-hmm.
So you can try all those options, and then you can be like, well, cool, but let's change this up in this way.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to me at least as a guiding thing.
Yeah,
for composition.
definitely, especially like if you want to start writing songs, or well, I mean, you can start writing songs without theory, but
Of course.
Theory can help you just with basic song form, so you can
Right.
so you can write more and like I said earlier, understand what it is that you're actually doing.
Right. Like if you're listening to a pop song, you're like, oh, they modulated to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, that's cool.
For me,
I know what they're doing.
For me, it's just like, oh, cool, 1-4-5. It's cool, man.
So, you said that was the original lineup. Has there been a lineup change since then?
Flav, we had to get another bassist. It just wasn't working too well with Flav. We're still really good friends,
Right.
but just in terms of the band, it was probably best that we looked for another bassist.
Okay.
And so that's how Donald came on board, and honestly, I felt like it felt right. Like at that point, like we're all on the same page. It's like we're different versions of one another.
Right.
And so having Donald on board definitely added like a completely new like flavor to what we make, or what's the music that we create. Just because like with the band, I want like each instrumentalist to come up with their own part.
Right.
And so whatever it is that they come up with is, that's the part that's, going to be played.
Right.
And so having Donald on board now, like he has like a lot of like R&B and like church music background, but he's also like a metalhead.
Okay.
And so like with one of the pieces, Black and White, like it definitely sounds like a funk piece, like an odd meter funk piece, which is, pretty cool. He definitely brings out a different flavor.
That's what I meant to ask you. How would you categorize Gray blues genre? If you had to, like, you know what I mean? If you had to put it onto, and this is gonna show how old I am, but if you had to import it to your CPU and you had to, manually input the genre on your iTunes software, how would you write that down?
Oh man, like just to umbrella term it would just be so much easier just to say progressive rock, just because we've gotten called so many things like progressive rock, math rock, shoegaze, neo-metallic jazz.
Shoegaze?
Yeah.
Never heard of that. Ooh.
So lots of like post-rocky music with a lot of effects.
You gotta stay up with the hip terms.
But yeah, I feel like a crazy one is like neo-metallic jazz that my friend Dave said it's cool. Like how we sound, and like other times we've been called like, oh yeah, that sounds like Pink Floyd, man. Like,
neo-metallic jazz, that's sick. I like that.
So but I guess just as an umbrella term, just post-rock, math rock, progressive rock. Gotta write that down.
Yeah, sorry. You got me with that. So when was your guys' first show did you guys play shows with the original lineup?
Oh yeah.
And when was that? And
the first show that we played, it was over off of Kermit Lane in town. It was called the House Show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to the House Show.
Yeah, shout out to Tino.
Yeah.
That was the very first show that we played, and that was with the original lineup. We had the original lineup. Donald wasn't on board until maybe about September of 2018.
I remember you guys playing a show. I think it was the House Show, and the flyer was like a broken angel looking thing, and it was you guys, Cardinal Sins, and I want to say 6 Years Today.
Oh,
maybe
was that?
It was a long time ago. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Was that at the House Show? I don't remember playing with, or did we play with Cardinal Sins at the House Show? I don't remember.
I almost want to say that. But yeah,
it
doesn't matter. It just came to my head. I'm sorry.
That's possible.
So your first show was at the House Show.
Yeah, that was around February, and honestly, it was really cool because like I said, that was our first show, and we were on first, so I kind of enjoy going on first, especially if it's something.
That's my specialty. I'm like the opener.
Yeah, and so like you get to get the willies out of the way right from the get-go, and then you can just enjoy some music afterwards.
It's really cool, honestly, because because of that, it really de-stresses you, because having played first and then having played third, for example, like there's so much anxiety that builds up after seeing the first 2 or 3 bands. And you're just like, I just want to play and I just want to chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know. It's almost liberating to be the opener sometimes.
But yeah, so like as we were just going through our set, and like I was noticing just more and more people were just coming in through that side door on the of the garage, and that garage just started to get packed. And so for our first show, like it was good. I felt like it was really good.
That's awesome. And then how did it all progress after that? You guys had your first show. Did you decide, okay, this one good? Are we gonna record? Like, what do we do next?
Well, just because it's a very new thing. Our first day of rehearsal was 2017, and then February of 2018 was our first show.
Right.
And so, I guess we just wanted to play just more shows. Our first show was actually going to be in Modesto, over at the Trichromatic Art Gallery.
Ooh! Shout out to Zoe at the Trichromatic.
and then like people really dug us there too, and so we just wanted to just play more shows, and then we eventually ended up designing merchandise, and then we recorded at the press for the single Intermission, and we just started just riding the bandwave, and it's been awesome. Like a good journey.
That's cool. Do you want to go ahead and play us another song?
Yeah, sure.
What would you like to play?
It's this piece called Mood. I would have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to tune for this.
Just for everybody that's tuning in, you're listening to tvosj.org, the voice of San Joaquin and Stockton. And this is the Artist Hour, and we have Vincent Soto today.
Hello.
He's going to share us some beautiful music. Beautiful guitar music.
Excuse my tuning. That's a little sharp. Cool. All right, this is Mood.
Nice. That was
Mood.
Mood by Vincent Soto. This is the Artist Hour on TVOSJ, the voice of San Joaquin and Stockton. So, let me ask you, what is next with your solo stuff? Where are you planning to do next? Do you have plans to take it further?
Eventually at some point, just because
Okay.
there are more instruments that I definitely want to learn. I definitely want to go into piano.
Okay.
But I feel like I'm just putting my solo stuff just on hold at the moment, just because I'm way more focused on Grade Blue and wanting to promote that, and just wanting to go forth with that. So I guess, but for the going back to the solo album, I guess the next or my solo work, the next step would just be to release physical copies, and then from that point, just trying to find the balance between doing, solo acts and then band acts.
And what's necessary for you to be able to get to that next step, to get the physical copies out? What would be do you need to contact a distributor, manufacturer? How would you?
I would just have to, hit up the press and have them mix my couple of tracks, and then see if I can go through like an online company to, that'll make discs or not that. Whoops, discs. an album art, and then just go on from there.
Do you have artists in mind for an album art? Or not yet?
I might just end up using some of my photography stuff.
Oh, that's right. Look at that. Wow.
On Bandcamp, the album work, that's actually a photo that I took.
Okay.
And so
where is that photo?
That photo is that's near Weber Point,
okay.
like in the grassy area.
Okay.
Just looking off on the water in the downtown area.
Right. That's cool. So with Great Blue, you said you wanted to promote that a little more. What are you guys working on now?
Yeah, we're in the process of actually releasing our freshman album, and so we're really close to finishing it too. We just need to go in and just re-record like some really minor parts, and then just have everything mixed and mastered. And then once that's done, we'll be good to go because we already have the album work ready, and so. We have money saved up so we can so we can go forth with creating physical copies.
Right.
And then after that would just be a release show. And then once we're able to get merchandise, then we're probably thinking about wanting to do or start touring.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be.
So when you say that this is going to be your freshman album.
Yeah. For the band.
For the band.
Yeah.
Have you guys not released any other tracks before? Or can people go somewhere to listen to Great Blue as it sounds now?
Yeah, well, maybe not as it sounds now. We released a single.
Okay.
Intermission.
Okay.
But that wasn't with Donald. That was with Flav.
Okay.
And so this whole album, it's gonna be with Donald.
Okay.
Instead.
And where can people find Intermission?
People on Intermission, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play.
Oh,
YouTube,
the traditional streaming platforms.
Bandcamp, and
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about what your next shows are coming up.
Yeah, so we have an upcoming show July 27th at Channel Brewing.
Cool.
With Cough It Up.
Shout out to you.
Yeah.
Everyone at Cough It Up.
Cough It Up. What was it? Was it also Southpaw Sonata? I think it was that.
Southpaw Sonata. I think that was it. I remember.
And then there was one other band on there. Was it I think it was No Worries.
No Worries?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I played with them before. I don't have it written down.
Yeah.
Fell on me.
So, but that's on the 27th, and then August 24th we have a house show. I have to look at the lineup again, and then August 1st I think we're supposed to be playing with Pine and Palm and some other bands.
Nice.
But, over at Channel Brewing, but we haven't exactly received confirmation or more updates about it, so not entirely too sure if that'll go through, but if it goes through, then it'd be a August 1st Channel Brewing.
Cool. What is next with you as far as the photography?
As far as photography, I will definitely want to I always try to maintain a student mindset, no matter how much you learn and what, there's always still so much more to learn. I actually want to start delving into speedlight photography and using a speedlight. And so learning more about color theory.
What is speedlight?
Yeah, it's so it's a separate light that you can either attach onto your camera, or better yet, you can attach it on a separate light stand, and then you can have you can put different boxes over it and umbrellas to give it softer light, or if you want to direct the light more into a specific area, you can do it that way, or soft boxes. It's just to play just playing around more with light, just because that's basically your paint for photography.
That's cool.
And so next step would definitely be getting comfortable with the speed light and seeing speed and the power of the flash, and getting all of those right and dialed in, especially at shows, just because I don't I see people using flash photography all the time at shows, but for me, I just don't feel comfortable using a flash and blasting the performers.
I
with
feel
light,
bad even with my phone, when my phone kicks the phone, the flash on, when somebody's performing. It doesn't bother me when I'm performing because it's cool. Yeah. But I feel bad as a member of the audience, doing just blasting a beam of light at somebody that's trying to concentrate on, may have to use their eyes to look at their fretboard or their keys, But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's along the lines of what I was gonna say. I just don't feel right using like a strong flash,
Right.
you know, like at someone's gig or something, and I'm taking pictures of them. So you can dial in like how much power or output your flash has, or like and how quick the flash would be. So you can just sort of get in like that fill in light when no other light is available, and
Right.
there's still like a bunch of other things to learn when it just comes to using a speed light and playing around with like gels.
Gels.
Yeah, gels. So
Explain to
like,
me.
so there's these like little filters that you can put over your speed light,
Okay.
and they come in different colors.
And why are they called gels? Are they made out of gel?
I don't think they're made
Or
out
is
of
it an
gel.
acronym?
I don't think it's an acronym either.
Okay.
I just remember just the term being gel.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, I just remember the term being gel, and you can, like I said, you can put them on your speed light, and they can come in different colors. So they can come in like correctional like colors if something is a little bit like on the cooler side, and you want to give it more of like a white, or basic white balancing stuff. You would use like a more of an orange filter, sort of counteract the cool colors.
Okay.
And then there are like creative colors that you can use: red, teal, green, different shades of blue. And so you can just get more and more creative with using those colors into your photography.
Are you, or I don't know, let me ask this first. How are you delving into your photography? Are you studying, or I guess, professional? I guess, are you studying with a licensed instructor? Are you studying on your own? Are you?
Yeah.
What's your learning process?
Primarily, it's just been on my own. Or I would pick up tips from other photographers and whatnot who've had more experience than me. Like for example, one of the shows that I was at, I think it was called Momo's in Sacramento, and it was it was all my friends playing. It was who was it? Find Yourself, the Seafloor Cinema, and Standards.
The Seafloor Cinema is so good.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
I
I just heard them. Oh, dude, they're so good.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Yeah, and then Standards. And so there was Seafloor Cinema had a photographer there named Dennis, and he was like an older gentleman. He looked like he was maybe like in his like maybe mid 60s or so.
Okay.
And he's been shooting for like 40 years. So
right. That's what he does.
Yeah, and so at that point, I was still very, very, very fresh to photography, and so if I could pick up tips, especially from someone who's been doing it for that long, any knowledge is more power.
Right.
And so, as for actually maybe studying formally or getting like formal training, I've considered it, but at the same time, I guess I'm just not ready to go back to like school just yet, just because it's expensive.
It is very expensive.
Yeah.
I'm getting in a lot of debt.
Yeah, and I'm already in a lot of debt, so I don't want to exactly add on to the debt that I already have. But so far, it's just been on my own, and I'm constantly just critiquing just photos that I take. Oh, I should have done this. I should have stopped down a little bit more.
How do you go about that? Your critique on your photo, and do you apply the same type of critique to your music?
I guess in general senses.
I mean, one is obviously one's worst critic. We're always gonna find something that we're doing wrong with what we're doing, especially if it's something that we're studying on our own. How do you stop yourself from being overcritical?
From being overly critical, like I would definitely say, just look at the amount of time that you've put in so far, and like how you're reacting to it. Like, is how you're reacting to it, does that justify, or is that justified based on how long you've been doing it? So I'm also just been learning to take it a little bit easier on myself, just because I, as a creative person, like yourself, we're our own worst critics. yeah.
Sometimes I have to like talk myself down and realize like, like for me going to school for music, like I'm not the person who's had lessons their whole life, so I'm obviously not going to be progressing as quickly as I would like sometimes. So I have to stop myself from thinking that way sometimes. Or not thinking that way, but overly criticizing myself, because I had to realize I'm just, everybody has a different set of conditions. And it's how we react to them that makes us who we are. So sometimes it gets stressful.
Yeah, it can definitely get really stressful. But I guess as for like critiquing my own photos, it would just be like, oh, I feel like I could have stopped this or stopped down a little bit more. Okay, maybe it's like softly blurred,
Right.
or something like that. So maybe it could just be, maybe I could just be nitpicking, but those are things that I want to dial in.
Right. And in grade blue, how do you guys, I guess, critique each other, or how do you end up settling on what the material that you guys are going to present is going to be, the music that you're going to play?
Yeah. As far as critiquing one another, it's maybe not necessarily like, oh, you're doing this like poorly.
Critiquing sounds
like that,
bad, but it's not. That's just the term that we're using for giving feedback.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the movie Wine Country.
I haven't seen Wine Country.
Can I offer you some feedback? Is something that they always say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just, how do you offer each other feedback?
I guess just by how, just what, listening into what it is they're doing. Oh, try this or something like
Right.
that. You have like this empty space here or something. Maybe you can fill that in with a little bit of the sonic spectrum with something. I would say that, like, that's how we would just give each other feedback per se, just because I feel like I don't have to really worry per se about
Mm-hmm.
Donald or Mitchell, because they're great players.
Right.
They're good musicians, and so I don't necessarily have to like constantly like look over their shoulder.
It's really
or something
relieving
like that.
when you have trust in the people that you play with, and when you're playing with
Yeah.
quality musicians.
Mhm.
Like it's just relieving because of what you were saying. You don't have
Yeah.
to keep peering over their shoulder or thinking like, oh, what are you gonna, if is this time that we're spending on this section of a piece of or a song going to be wasted because of this person's whatever
Yeah.
they're lacking. That's really good. So
Yeah.
kudos to you for having such good bandmates.
Yeah, like I said, it feels right with the current lineup.
That's awesome. And we want to thank you guys over here. You guys brought us some shirts to add to a raffle. Let's see, where is it? Boom! Grade blue. One fish, two fish, grade fish, blue fish. I remember seeing this a while ago.
Shout out to Flav again.
Pow.
He was
Pow.
he
There we
actually is
go.
the one that designed
I
the
remember
shirt.
seeing this a while ago and thinking that it was super funny. You guys did that. So thank you guys so much for bringing this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and give some shout outs and announcements real quick. We want to give a shout out to Sticker Plugs. They got our cards over here for the Artist Hour. Boom. Look at that. Quality. That's Josh. Josh is not here today. He had some stuff he had to take care of, but he left me in charge. So shout out and hello and good luck to you, Josh. Don't forget to come to the Teen Turn Up this Friday, July 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. featuring DJ Mike. There's going to be a lot of local teen talent. Where is it? Right over there. Yeah. Oh, I can't get it. This one right here? All right. So there we go. That's going to be, where is this going to be at? That's going to be at the Teen Center at 725 North El Dorado Street in Stockton. For more info, you can call 209-992-7782. We also have our 5th annual CCPR Chicano Community Program Radio Reunion Concert Car and Motorcycle Show that is going to take place on August 11th at Weber Point. So come on out and support the radio station. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be over there representing the Artist Hour. So come out and say hello to us. We also want to... Do you want to remind everybody about your shows coming up?
Yeah, so again, they're for Grade Blue. They're July 27th. I believe that's a Saturday. Doors are at 6, music's at 7. I believe we're playing last, so we'll probably be on around 9:30 or so. And then
Nice.
if August 1st happens, August 1st again at Channel Brewing. If not, then it would be August 24th.
All right, awesome. I'll be playing July 21st this Sunday.
Oh,
Pum 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 in
nice, good luck to you.
Patterson at Not So Secret Shows.
Oh,
That's gonna start
shout out to Steven
right?
again.
Stevie.
Shout out to Steve.
So it's gonna be at Not So Secret Shows. It's gonna start at 6:30. That's gonna be with myself, The Bright Side of Suicide, Anti-Surf, Cheap Shoes, Generation Hopeless, World War from LA, I believe they're from, and Farewell Familiar, who are really good. I don't know if you ever heard them, but you should check them out. And then August 3rd, this one's a little bit ahead of time, but that'll be at the Flower Shop, also at 6:30, with MMORPG, LMR, June Days, 6 Years Today, and Celerosa. So it's gonna be just a friends party. So come on out. Do you wanna take us off with one last song?
Yeah, sure. Probably gonna have to tune a little bit.
No problem. Take your time. I just want to thank everybody who's been listening to our show. This is the Artist Hour on tvosj.org, the voice of San Joaquin and Stockton. Make sure you check us out on the Simple App Radio and the live streams on our Facebook and YouTube sites. Just look up the voice of San Joaquin and you should be able to find us. Again, thank you to Sticker Plugs for the business cards, and make sure you come out and to our events on August 11th, Weber Point, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's going to be the CCPR, Chicano Community Program Radio Car and Motorcycle Show. There's going to be music, cars, motorcycles, obviously, and there's going to be we're going to have Juan Escobedo, we're going to have the Latin Magic Band, the Mike Torres Band, Gambizi and DOS 4, and many more. So come on out. There's going to be music, food, I believe, too. So come on out. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is, what song?
Yeah, so this piece is called Claire. It was one of the first pieces that I wrote during my stay at CalArts. And wrote it for my mom.
Great. This is Vincent Soto on the voice of San Joaquin and Stockton. Thank you so much, Vincent, for being with us.
Yeah,
Before
thank you
we
for having me.
take off, do you want to tell people how they can get in contact with you for shows, for anything to follow your music?
Yeah. So through Bandcamp and Spotify and just other distributors, you could just look up Vincent Soto, and so that'll just put you to the solo album if you're looking through Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes. Um, I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Oh, just how can people?
Oh, just
get
how
in
people
touch
can
with you?
just
Yeah.
how people can get in touch with me, right? Facebook, just look up Vincent Soto. It'll be a picture of me playing guitar.
Cool.
My Instagram is just Vincent_Soto, and so
Cool.
I have all of my photography and music and other shenanigans on there.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Yeah, thank you for having me.
coming on the show. I want to thank everybody for listening. For the guest next week, make sure you follow JSP Media Productions on Instagram, and we'll be posting that there. And make sure you stay in touch with the TVOSJ Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channels. You'll be able to get all the info on all the other shows that we have here on the station. My name is Alejo Izaguirre. This is the Artist Hour on TVOSJ, the voice of San Joaquin and Stockton. Thank you guys for listening, and have a great night.
Peace.